Hello, welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie, and today I have a special little episode for you. I have tried a new sewing pattern, and I wanted to share some thoughts that I have about it, and maybe some tips, things I've learned. Maybe it's something that you want to give it a go, and yeah, just some things that I've learned and how I put mine together. So let's talk about it. Before I get started, I should just let you know that I do include closed captionings on all of my videos. You will click on that CC button. And if there are any links on shops or patterns or things like that that I can provide, I will have those in the description notes below this video. Sometimes you have to click on show more or an arrow or something like that. And occasionally I will have things up on the screen. Maybe they are screenshots or recording captures, video stuff of whatever I might be looking at on a screen to help you get a better idea of what I am talking about. So sometimes that will be on the screen. And I do mention that because sometimes people are doing other things while they are watching/listening to a video and they might not catch it. So just to note that sometimes there will be things on the screen, or maybe I say something completely incorrect and I do catch myself in editing, then I will try to correct it also on the screen or in the description box below the video. But I miss things. I'm human. It happens. But yes, just a heads up, there might be sometimes things on the screen. And of course, I'll be showing you the projects close up and maybe worn or things like that. Today, I want to talk about a crossbody bag pattern. It is a free pattern put out by the Core Fabric store. And I will link to them again in the description box below this video. On Core Fabric website, you can purchase the belt bag hardware as a kit if you want, versus going out to buy all the separate pieces yourself. And then of course there is lots of fabric to choose from. And for their samples, they had sewn up multiple different ones in different types of fabric, so you can see how they look like all worked up. They are super, super fun. I will hopefully have a screenshot of that here on the screen so you can see what theirs look like. The pattern does come in two views, so two different sizes. One is a little bit smaller, so if you wanted to wear it as like a fanny pack, you could, or you can make the bigger one, which is more of a crossbody type of bag. And so I chose to make the bigger one because it is fulfilling a need of sorts. Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying it like that. It is fulfilling a need. I wanted something that could fit my wallet, lip balm, keys, my phone, a small sock project, maybe a snack or two. I think a water bottle would be pushing it unless it was like a really small one. But I wanted something that could hold all of that as I'm out and about. Since it is summer, I'm thinking about like art festivals and outdoor music concerts and going to the park with my kids, going on nature hikes as a family, things like that. So I wanted something that was just easy to put on, not super heavy, kind of fun to wear, and just something that would carry all those things. So functional and fun and simple. That's what I was looking for. And this pattern fits all of those things. When you print it out, I think there are only some parts that you actually have to tape together. So if you're familiar with patterns, if you print them out at home on computer-sized paper, 8.5 by 11, you then have parts where you have to match up and tape or glue together, and then you cut them out. But because this is a smaller project, the majority of the pieces are actually on their own page, so you don't have to tape it all together. And if you are making the bigger size, I believe there's only a couple pages to tape together. So it really isn't that much to tape. If you were like me, I just detest taping all the pattern pieces together because inevitably I get off by a millimeter, and then farther down the line 1 millimeter becomes 1 centimeter, and it makes a huge difference. And so with this, it's a smaller project. You won't run into all of that. Being a pretty small project, the smaller view uses up, I think the pattern says less than 1/4 yard of fabric. Because there are multiple pieces to it, you really can go through remnants of fabric that you have and pull together a combination that you really like. So you are essentially making it twice because there's a lining and then the outer part, and the pieces are the same, just depending on the lining or the outside part. So you could do it all in one fabric if you wanted. You could do a pop of color inside or outside. You could do mismatching, all sorts of different things. Do a color story, like let's say you want to pull all the blues and greens together, or go a little more nautical and have like navy, white, and stripes, or just go neon and do all different neon fabrics, the pattern does recommend medium or bottom weight fabrics just to give it a little more structure. Some of my fabrics that I chose were maybe medium or light medium weight, and so I decided to add fusible fleece as a stabilizer and just a little more squishiness to it, and so I did do that to my outer fabrics, not my lining, and it was still okay to sew. I will say I recommend having a denim needle handy because at some point you do sew through quite a few layers, and with a regular needle it might break. And so I did use a denim needle for the parts where it was much thicker, and that was a lifesaver. Another thing to note is the hardware recommends that the D-rings are 1.5 inches and your, your webbing is also 1.5 inches wide. I did mine both 1 inch wide just based on the strap situation that I had. So I had some straps that were like pre-made with the hardware swivel hooks on them already that an aunt bought me in Taiwan. And so I decided that's what I was going to use. And so one of them did come with the D-rings, which are already 1 inch wide. And the other one didn't have D-rings, so I had to go buy D-rings. So I just bought gold D-rings for that one. The other difference is that in the pattern, it has you just use one D-ring and sew the webbing to the other side, making that part detachable, and then it's still adjustable. But I decided I wanted the straps to be completely removable. That way I can switch straps around and not have to have multiple straps or multiple swivel hooks. I just needed to have 2 D-rings. And so one on each side, which meant I could completely undo the straps, make more bags if I want to, and just move the straps between the different bags. So that's the way I went with it. I think that was my major change. I didn't really change it up too much from that. So something really great about the pattern is not only does it have a photo tutorial, but it has a video tutorial as well. I did find the video tutorial a little bit too fast for me on some of the tricky parts, so I slowed it down to half speed, turned off the volume, and turned on the closed captioning. That way I could follow along, read it, and watch it, and really get that tricky part. And after I did one, I was able to get the hang of it pretty easily, so the second one went a lot smoother, but that was my little tip or trick for you in case you're not catching it in there. And I feel like some of the photo tutorials, I also wasn't quite able to see like where things were lining up, and so the video did help with that. But again, I slowed it way down and just turned off the sound and turned on the closed captioning. Enough details on that. I'm going to show you the ones I made. I'm going to start with my first one. So here it is. So this one I used remaining fabric from previous projects. The outer layer is all Kaufman Essex cotton linen blend, and this is like a light rosy pink. The back is an olive color, and then my sides are this blue, and I really like it. Again, I did line it with, or not line it, I interfaced it with fusible fleece just to give it a little more structure. And then on the inside I used this quilter's cotton. It's white with mustard and aqua birds flying. And then there was a pattern piece for an optional pocket, and I'm not sure if this is the way I was supposed to sew it in, but I didn't quite understand what the instructions meant. It says fold it and then fold it and stitch it in, but there was no picture, so I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be square or when I cut it I was supposed to have it a long rectangle. I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. I just serged the sides, so overlocked the sides and then just sewed it in. So it's a cute tiny little square pocket. I can put my lip balm in there so it's not rolling around everywhere. I could put loose change in there. Who knows? But yes, it is a really good size. I should have brought a project up to put stuff in to give you a better idea, but it is a really good size. I have put like a single sock with a 50-gram cake of yarn attached to it inside, and it fit very easily. But I can definitely put my keys and everything else in here. I think for the sock project, I would just put it in a very lightweight drawstring bag or something smaller just to keep it from getting tangled with anything else. But I think everything will fit pretty easily in here. I'm gonna zip it up and show you here. So this is my cotton webbing strap with like brass hardware. It has the swivel hooks on it. And again, this all came together, so I didn't have to buy anything separately. And then I was able to find this brown cotton webbing that matched the strap pretty well that I already had on hand. And then I matched it with a brown zipper. The pattern uses a metal zipper and I had a plastic one plastic nylon one, so that's what I used, which made it really easy to sew over the zipper teeth on the edges. And I will say on this one, what happened was I had to add a few extra pieces on the top. I'm gonna hold it closer, maybe you'll be able to see where I had to add extra pieces. And then you can see it a little bit on this back part too. Like this extra seam here isn't in the pattern. What happened was the seam allowance everywhere is 1/2 inch. When I was sewing the zipper, I couldn't go 1/2 inch. I would run into the teeth. So I think the tape on my zipper, so the tape is the side parts of the teeth, isn't as wide. So I could go, I want to say my 3/8 allowance, but even with the zipper foot, I couldn't even get any closer. And so I'm already pretty close to the teeth here. I think it looks pretty close to the image in the pattern, but I could not get to 1/2 inch. And so because I couldn't get to 1/2 inch, my fabric, so my front piece was a little bit longer than what it should have been, which meant when I went to join in my back pieces and my lining pieces in the back, that it was gonna come up short. And so what I did was, instead of cutting out those pieces over again, I cut out like 1 inch and added on the top of each one. And then of course there was a seam allowance there. And then so then I had a little bit left, and then I went from there and that matched up. And so that was fine. So a little hiccup, easy fix. And I had to do it, I think, to the flaps on the inside of the lining as well. But it worked out really just fine. It did add a little more bulk on those parts, but it functions just fine. So I'm gonna put it on for you just so you can see what it looks like. Now this is the bigger size. I think it's view B, so it's considered the cross body view, I guess. And the other one can also be a crossbody, but is something that could also be used as a fanny pack. So I can wear it. I'm gonna move around here so I can have a better view. So I can wear it across the front like this. I can knit away, and I could wear it on the side here. I suppose if there's more stuff in it, it wouldn't form to my side very well. It would be kind of bunched out a little more. But I can also wear it across the back, kind of like a sling backpack. And that would make it out of my way in the front. And I find it really comfortable. I just really like this size. I love this color. I think this tighter weave will also wear really well. It shouldn't snag. And with just friction of like walking and wearing and using, I feel like it should keep pretty well. So I'm really happy with this one. And if you've been here for any amount of time, you may know that once I make things once, I usually make it again, because I have an idea for maybe a different color combination or things to change, things like that. So I did make another one. I love this one so much. I love the first one too, but this one has a totally different vibe. Are you ready? Oh, let me zip it up. Ready? Dun, 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 dun. I love this. This is also made out of fabric from previous projects. This front piece I had bought from my local yarn and fabric store. I had bought 1 yard. I made a top out of it. You will have seen it in a previous episode, I guess, if you watched it. But the orchard top and dress episode, I have a top that I made out of this that I had to strategically cut so I could get the graphic to fit where I wanted it to. And so this one, again, I strategically cut how I wanted the graphics to show up. And I really love these colors. It is just so summery. And then this peachy color is 100% cotton duck canvas. And so it is a little more stable. I did do fusible fleece again, just to give it even more stability and a little more squish. And then I did a hot pink zipper. And for the inside, I have this agave green linen that's left over from a dress I sewed. I made the pocket a little bit bigger this time using that canvas. And then I added a little ring here to hold stitch markers. And then the front is this gingham sage green and white that is remaining from also a previous dress that I sewed. That one was also an Orchard dress. So this fabric and this outer fabric are both from Orchard top and dresses. Now this time, because I knew I was going to run into the same problem with the zipper, I did cut those other pieces slightly bigger on top, and that way when I joined everything it would be just fine. I did go slightly bigger, that way I could always trim it to line just up, or line up just right, line up, well whatever, so that it would line up. It is easier if you have a little too much than too less, because if there's not enough, then it's really hard to get a seam allowance to line up, but if there's a little too much, I can always just cut that part off and even it out. So that is what I did, so I didn't have to join any additional fabric. This strap is also from Taiwan. It's mustard with birds on it, and I just love it. It has gold hardware. It is 1 inch, so I did have to get 1-inch D-rings. The gold isn't exactly the same, but it is just fine. And then I have this kind of a beigey tan cotton webbing. That is 1 inch that I added to the side. And I did do 2 D-rings once again. That way, if I want to change out the strap for any other strap, I can. I suppose I would want to stay with gold hardware, but if I didn't, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And so yeah, this one also fits really well. I did the same size as the other one. Oh, and I added on this little zipper pull that I was also going to use as a stitch marker or progress keeper. I also bought this from the same local fabric and yarn shop. I think it's Ruby something. Ruby Star Society. That's also the same company that did this front fabric and the zipper pull. And I think it's just so cute. I just love the space. I love how smooth it is. It is a really fun project to sew. I will say my second time went smoother than my first time because I knew what to expect, I knew the tricky parts, and I didn't have to add on all that extra fabric to multiple pieces because things weren't lining up. So it went much smoother. But I just love this project. I think that is everything that I have to say about the Core Belt Bag. I hope that this inspires you to give it a try if it is something that you are interested in. Again, it is a free pattern on the Core Fabric Store website, and I'm so glad I gave it a go because I feel like these 2 pieces are going to take me through the summer, through all the different activities, and I'm sure I'll come up with another one, maybe for fall, maybe a plaid one. I was thinking if I did like a plaid cotton flannel or brushed flannel type of situation in the front, and then used something that was less prone to pilling on the back, like denim or canvas, and then the inside could be like leaves or something really autumnal or mushrooms or something. That could be super fun for the fall. I don't know. I've got some ideas. We'll see what I come up with. But for now, these 2 I am so excited about, and I have a feeling they will be well loved. So that is it. I hope you're doing well. Cheers to being creative, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you.